Hello, so the case I will be looking at today will be a pretty well-known case. It's Theodore Robert Bundy versus State of Florida. And this is actually a answer brief of the appellee um, provided from the Supreme Court of Florida and filed by the Deputy Clerk of the Supreme Court. And it basically talks about the motion for post-conviction relief, reevaluate um, his competence to stand trial. However, that was dismissed as successive motion and abuse to post-conviction power, and that motion was barred under the 2-year time limit created by Florida Rules for Criminal Proceedings 3.850. However, the motion claimed mental incompetence at the time of aborted plea hearing. I'm going into more detail about this. This was what Theodore claimed to be the Lake City trial. However, there was no state evidentiary hearing held. Um, however, however, he was found competent at a subsequent hearing, and they concluded that the claim was an attempt to obtain further piecemeal review and successive. Um, so that claim was he also claimed that he was entitled to relief under the Johnson versus Mississippi. And this has to do with Bundy's Utah convictions, which were used as an aggravating factor in the Supreme Court case. And Bundy claimed that his attorney, Mr. Curran, I think that's how you say his name, but his attorney that was alleged at the time of the trial stated that the Utah convictions couldn't be used to support any aggravating factors. However, that was not proven. And because of this, any potential aggravating factors were eliminated due to his first petition, which was when he claimed mental incompetence. He also argued that the sentencer's reliance upon these prior convictions meant that his death sentence was predicted upon misinformation of constitutional magnitude. It was concluded that Bundy was fully aware in 1986 that he could challenge his death sentence by challenging the he was fully aware that he could challenge his death sentence by challenging the validity of his prior convictions through Johnson versus Mississippi. And as a result of this, his claim involving attack on validity of prior convictions, these violent convictions, was procedurally barred. The last claim that Bundy made in this petition was he claimed the violation of Gardner versus Florida due to an ex parte. And this has to do with the allegation that the trial judge involved in the ex parte had communication with the prosecution. And there were trial transcripts that were presented, and it showed that the defense counsel, not the state, put the Chi Omega records, I hope I'm saying that right, but these also include psychological evaluations that were done um, by Dr. Tane. I don't know if I'm saying that right either, but it shows that these records and these evaluations were um, were put before the court for its consideration. And the state's only argument was made on record in presence of a counsel. And 8 years later, the judge of this case, Judge Jubling, stood for cross examination in a federal court. After this cross, in this cross examination, Judge Jubling um, presented like couldn't fully recall certain things um, when like asked certain questions, and Judge Dupling's unfreshed memory during this cross examination in December of 1987 um, was cloudy, unspecific, and based upon cross examination, purely speculative. Hope I'm saying that right. Um, but the trial record also reflects when, where, how, by, and before whom Judge Jubling received any of these Chi Omega materials. These materials had also been a matter of public record for approximately 7 months prior to this case, and Bundy discovered this issue in December of 1987. However, Bundy allowed the time period for filing to lapse and thus forfeited review. However, we all know that Bundy was found guilty at the end of the trial, and he was sentenced to. Okay, I had to actually look back on the case because I couldn't fully remember if he was sentenced to death or not, but he was sentenced to death and he was executed on January 24th, 1989. So, from this, we can obviously conclude that every claim that was made by Bundy um, didn't wasn't accurate or seen as something that could be held or like sustained in a court of law because every claim was essentially thrown out. I do recommend um, looking more into this case and actually looking at the answer brief of Applee itself. It's very interesting to read. Um, but yeah, that was a whole mess. I lost my train of thought several times. That's why there's so many pauses in the video. But yeah.